Alrighty, welcome to the next Ansys simulation software tutorial video. Today we'll be downloading and installing and running Ansys software. So follow along to get Ansys set up so you can go ahead and start learning to run your own Ansys simulations. If you run into any issues, leave a comment down below and I'll see if I can get back to you and help you out. Or if you're working at a company or if you're at college, reach out to your engineering department or your IT department and they should be able to get you set up with some help. Or if you're on Liberty Rocketry, reach out to the aerodynamics sub-team lead or your own sub-team lead for some help. Okay, so first we're going to download Ansys from the web. So open whatever browser you use. We'll be using Google Chrome and go to ansys.com, ansys.com. This is Ansys's website. You're going to click up here in the top right where it says free trials. Then free student software, start here, click start here. And here's the download page. Ansys Student has all of the stuff that you will probably need. Ansys Mechanical, Ansys CFD, which would be Ansys Fluent, and pretty much everything else. Those are the ones we're going to be learning, so that's what we're going to be downloading. They also have LizDyna, which is an explicit solver that can handle high impacts and a lot of deformation all in a short amount of time. They have electronics, Rocky, and coding, but we're not going to be using those today. So click Ansys Student, and here we're going to scroll down to System and Browser Requirements. That's always step one. Whatever version of Ansys you're using that is not the one for this video, which is 2025 R2, may require different things for your computer. So just go ahead and make sure that everything matches up, that you have enough RAM, enough hard drive space, and especially you want to make sure that you have a right graphics card. This one gave me particularly a lot of grief. I was trying to run simulations and it kept throwing errors because it didn't like my GPU, my NVIDIA GeForce RTX 50, but I didn't know that for a while, and it took me a while to get that figured out, that that was why my simulations weren't working. So go ahead and save yourself the time and just make sure you have a good graphics card. That is on their list. Look up their list with a quick Google search, and you should be able to find whatever you need for the current version of Ansys. If you don't have a GPU that's on that list, there is a way to disable GPU acceleration, which is the part of Ansys that uses your GPU, and I'll show you how to do that so you can continue using Ansys. So we'll get to that later in the video. You can minimize that, and it's also worth noting that there are installation steps right here if you need those. So click Download Ansys Student 2025 R2. That is going to show up as a download right here, and that will show up as an unconfirmed download in your downloads folder under files. So whenever that's done, you can jump back in and we'll finish setting up the rest. Okay, now that that's done, you can close your browser because we're not going to need that anymore. Open File Explorer, go to Downloads, and here you should see this. Your unconfirmed download should have turned into Ansys Academic Student 2025 R2, the same thing that we saw on the Google Chrome Ansys web page that we were looking at. So right-click this and click Extract All. You can leave this as the default. That'll just put the extracted folders right here. Then click Extract. Because this is such a large file, about 29 gigabytes, in fact, it's going to take it about 3 minutes to extract. So just come back when you're done with that. Now that that's done, you should see this unzipped file, which says the same thing, Ansys Academic Student 2025 R2, or whatever version you're using. Double click this to open it. There is a lot in this file, but the only thing that you are going to need to use is the setup.exe file. Double left click, and after you click yes, allow this to make changes to my device, going to open up this little guy right here. Here is the agreement, and once you're done reading through all of that, you can click I agree to the terms of the license agreement right here, and then click Next. This is your installation directory path. You can change this if you want, but you probably won't want to. Click Next, and that is going to start the installation process. Once that is done, we'll move on to setting up the computer and making sure that Ansys does not use your GPU. Okay, now that Ansys has been downloaded and installed, we're going to make sure that your Windows is using the highest power setting possible so that Ansys can have as much space to process as it can have, because Ansys is going to eat up all of that processing power like a beast, because Ansys is just such a big program. So go to Settings, then go to System, then Power and Battery. Then under power mode, you're going to want plugged in to be set to best performance. That's going to give you the most performance out of your computer from the Windows side. On battery, you can leave this set to whatever, because I recommend that you always have your laptop plugged in when you're running Ansys. It's a very heavy program and your computer might die, and it's just not going to process as well without it being plugged in because it won't have as much power. So just leave it on best performance here and leave your laptop plugged in. Now, if you're using a gaming laptop like mine is because you're an engineering student, you might have something like this. When I push this button on my keyboard, it pulls up the Predator interface, which is, I'm not really sure to be honest, but it's here. Yeah, I really don't know. But under scenario, I can set my computer to quiet, balanced performance, or turbo. And these are going to give me differing amounts of power out of my computer. So when I'm running Ansys, I always want this set on the highest mode, which would be turbo. And you can see it's going to jump these guys up to give me a little more processing power. Not that much right now because I don't have Ansys running. But when I do have Ansys running, I always leave this on turbo. And that may look different for you. Odds that this is the exact thing you see on your computer are pretty low. But just take a look at your computer, and if it has something like this, make sure you're using the highest power setting possible. Okay, once that's done, now we're going to go ahead and start up Ansys so that we can turn off GPU acceleration, assuming that you are a student who is using a laptop that doesn't have a GPU that's good. So first, we're going to want all the other applications closed on our computer so that Ansys has as much space to breathe as possible. So now that that's done, you're going to search on your search bar for Workbench. It does not start with Ansys. The application does not start with Ansys. It's named Workbench, so and it has the version here, whatever your version is. So just remember Workbench and not Ansys when you're trying to launch it. Click that to open it, and you're going to get this little opener application or whatever it's called, and that is going to open Workbench for you. Once Workbench is open, you are going to pull up a static structural. You're going to left click and drag that into here. Now, it's worth noting before I continue to lead you down the Ansys rabbit hole, just follow my steps exactly. You don't need to know what's going on here, and you can always come back if you need to change this setting later. And also, this is going to change the setting for Ansys Mechanical, which runs FEA. It's not going to change the setting for Ansys Fluent, which runs CFD. So if you need to change this for Fluent, it's probably a similar process, but I'm not familiar with it, and you may need to look that up. So, but on with the Ansys Mechanical settings. Double left click Model right here. That is going to start Ansys Mechanical, which shows up in the bottom left here. And this could take a minute just depending on how fast your computer boots that up. Once Ansys Mechanical is open and everything is loaded, you're going to go to File, then solve process settings, and then there should be two options here, my computer and my computer background. My computer is the one you want. Click advanced, and then GPU acceleration, if possible, set that to none. These should be your GPUs. If you have multiple, just set it to none. That's going to turn off your graphics processor. And if your graphics card is not one that Ansys likes, that means it's not going to throw you any more problems. If you have the student version, which we just downloaded, set max number of utilized cores to 4. That's important. If you try to run more than 4, you're going to get an error that says, hey, you're using too many cores, and it's kind of a weird process to read exactly what Ansys is telling you has gone wrong. So it's very useful if you're using student to just go ahead and change that now so you can save yourself the time later. Then click OK and OK, and you can close Ansys Mechanical, and you can close Workbench, and it's going to ask you if you want to save it. Click no. You don't need to save anything. Alternatively, you can just use the computers in your computer lab at your school if you have access to those, or maybe a workstation at your company if you're using this for a company, and that should have everything set up already and you won't have to mess with anything. You can just go ahead and run Ansys from there, and that should be happy-go-lucky for you. All right, that completes Ansys setup, and now you should be good to go to start learning how to run your own Ansys simulations. As always, may the Lord bless your engineering. Come visit us at LU sometime and go ahead and start the next video, which will be on Ansys Workbench.